and welcome to episode number 4 of the Mixed Martial Arts podcast. Today we are with our usual hosts, me, myself, Enrico, and we have...
Ben over here. Hello, everyone. Hope you enjoy this episode number 4.
Alright, perfect. So, in this episode, we're going to be talking about the Jon Jones controversy, about what happened, everything that happened when he got arrested, what happened, his consequences, all that stuff. And we're also going to be talking about our second fantasy fight on this podcast that we started due to the coronavirus shutting down the UFC. Although our next episode will not be a fantasy fight, since on May 9th it will be UFC 249. So we're going to kind of postpone our fantasy fights and talk about UFC 249 and come back to it after. So, for today, our fantasy fight is going to be Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris. That'd be a cool matchup. And, I hope you guys enjoy, and we'll just get into it now. So, to start off, we're going to talk about the Jon Jones arrest. And basically what happened was, Jon Jones, he drank a lot of alcohol, and he got drunk, and he got arrested for a DUI. He was drunk driving, plus he had his gun on him, and he just was shooting. He wasn't shooting anyone, or he wasn't shooting at anyone, but there were gun discharges, so he was shooting his gun in the air or something. We don't really know where he was shooting it, but that's what happened. And he got arrested in Albuquerque, New Mexico for drinking and driving and shooting his gun. And basically what happened was, so he got arrested, and when he was in the court, what happened, his consequences were a 4-day house arrest, as well as community service that he had to do, which house arrest is not too bad now that the states, they're in lockdown and they have to stay home anyways for their own safety, so that's not too bad. But he still has to do community service and all that. And that's the storyline of the Jon Jones. But I kind of want to get into his past. And we know that Jon Jones, back then, he also got arrested a couple years back for doing drugs, illegal substances, all that stuff. And it's kind of a reoccurring theme. And it's unfortunate, because Jon Jones, you see him on Instagram and interviews. He's a great fighter. He looks like a great person. But he just continues, he keeps getting into this mess. He keeps getting himself into this mess. You get what I'm trying to say, Ben? Or,
yeah. It's
he continues to get himself in trouble with the law and where he lives, and it's kind of unfortunate to see, because he's such an incredible fighter, and in the interviews and Instagram he looks like a nice person, and it's a shame to see that he keeps getting arrested for different things. And the first time he got arrested, he wasn't as lucky. He got stripped from the lightweight heavyweight champion. He was no longer champion. The UFC took his belt away, and they gave it to Daniel Cormier, and he had to get it back. He got it back, but he had to, go get it back again. He had to fight his way back to the belt. Yeah. So this time he still has his championship belt. There was no consequences with the UFC. They didn't strip his belt away, none of that stuff. But I just want to ask you, Ben. So, do you think that his punishment was harsh or not harsh at all? What's your opinion on that?
I think they were kind of easy on him, but to be honest, he didn't do any, he was drunk driving. Obviously that's really a severe situation. You shouldn't be doing that. It's kind of dangerous for a lot of just people walking on the street, or just people driving their cars. So I feel if someone got hurt, that would have led to a really terrible situation. I think they were kind of easy on him because, well, basically he didn't really hurt anyone, which was lucky. So I believe they were kind of easy on him because of that, because no one really got hurt. But I feel if someone got hurt, then he would have to live with a huger punishment. But to be honest, I feel the cops were kind of lenient on him, surprisingly, with his history on top of it all.
Yeah, I completely agree that. One, that it definitely would have been much worse if he did hurt someone, and like you said, nobody was hurt in the process of what happened. But I feel like you said, they really took it easy on him, because just DUI charges alone, some drunken driving cases, they go to jail for quite some time,
Yeah.
But John Jones, he didn't just get arrested for drunken driving, but he also he had a gun on him and he was shooting it.
Yeah,
So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like what he got, I mean, it's nice, it's 4-day house arrest, which ended up not being that bad because he's quarantined, and community service. I think he was extremely lucky with what he got. Because most people, in my opinion, they would be faced with, jail time, and quite, a decent amount due to the fact of just a DUI charge alone. Forget about shooting a gun while he's drunk. I mean, that's incredibly, dangerous, and it shouldn't happen to start with.
Well, hopefully, since he got, like, an easy punishment, hopefully, like, now there won't be any incidents about him. Like, hopefully he learns his lesson, like, he got lucky. Like, it could be bad, that he didn't get a harsh punishment, or it could be good. Like, in both, it depends, because, like, if someone gets a harsh punishment, most likely they won't do it again, but they may do it again. But I think if it's an easy punishment, it depends. Like, they may be like, oh, I'll get it lucky again, or they may just stop and be like, I got lucky, why would I take any risks of getting a more harsh punishment next time I do something that was, like, kind of stupid and, like, didn't really think about it. Well, also, he was drunk, so, I don't know, like, you're a whole different person when you're drunk. Like, you don't really, you don't really think before you do something, so I don't know.
Right. Yeah, many people think that when you're drunk, that's, like, sober thoughts, Like, what you do is your sober thoughts.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that, or do you think it's like...
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like, you kind of, like, like, when you're sober, like, you think, like, a little more, so, like, it may stop you of doing something, but when you're, like, drunk, like, your reaction time and, like, everything is way slower, so, like, basically, it took him, like, a second to think of it, and then he just straight up did it, like, didn't even think of it almost.
Yeah, without thinking. Yeah, I agree with that. And another thing that John Jones had to face with all this controversy and what happened is a lot of people are somewhat attacking you on social media. Not like random people, but like, UFC fighters, for example. He has his rival Israel Adesanya, who's a middleweight champion, and Adesanya for quite some time now has been calling out to fight John Jones, to fight, like, it'd be like a clash of legends in the UFC, and they don't have a good rivalry. Like, it's bad blood, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, bad blood.
And Adesanya, he, like, on Instagram, he kind of, like, not so much now, but when it first happened and news came out, he kind of, like, teased him and was, like, making fun of him to try to get him angry and see, if he can get this rivalry to the next level and potentially get the fight he always wanted. Because John Jones, he's not accepting the fight against Adesanya. He doesn't think Adesanya is worthy enough, And I was wondering if you think that this will kind of be brought up in a press conference, or if you think that the future of UFC for John Jones, if, like, for example, the people he's fighting next, if they'll kind of use it against them to kind of, bring him down. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that may be good, like, a good weapon against, like, John Jones, like, maybe, like, during a press conference, like you said. Yeah. I think that would be a good weapon for, like, to get in his head and, like, maybe, like, get him pissed off, and it may, like, when the day of the fight comes, he may get, like, a little, like, carried away, and, like, I don't know. I feel like that would probably be a good weapon for the other fighters to use on him. And maybe, hopefully, one day, Adesanya and John Jones fight it out. Because, like, always, like, fights with, bad blood, usually they end up, like, pretty, like intense. And, like the fans, obviously, I think would, like, love to see it. And, like, it would be, like, really interesting. And, like, it would, like, you would, like, even if you're not even at the event, you would, like, feel how the fighters feel. Like, you'll, like, feel like you're at the event, and it'll be, like, a crazy, like, intense fight, and, like, the adrenaline will be rushing between the two fighters, and I feel like that would be, like, a crazy fight.
I don't know, because one thing, you're right, some fights with, like, bad blood, they end up being crazy, but I feel that they're way overhyped.
Yeah.
If you get what I'm trying to say,
Mhm.
because I'll give you an example. Jose Aldo and McGregor, when they were fighting, they had crazy bad blood, and they thought that it would end in an absolute war. It'd be a crazy good fight. Don't get me wrong, it was a really good fight, but it'd be crazy. It'd be like, I don't know, like some sort of bar fight, like a slugfest. They'd just be throwing punches constantly, because they're pissed at each other. And that fight ended in 13 seconds, I believe. McGregor knocked him out in 13 seconds, and it wasn't it didn't live to its hype, you get it? And I feel that a lot of bad bloods fight when two fighters have personal problems with each other and they actually dislike each other. I feel that it's not as good because it doesn't live up to its hype. Usually doesn't live up to its hype. And sometimes it's a shame because that fight can be really good. Like really, really good. But due to all the back and forth beef they had with each other and all the words that were said in press conference and all the times they got each other angry, due to the fact that the hype was so big and the fight, which could still be an amazing fight, it could be like the fight can be downgraded.
Like I have a question for you. Do you think like when there's like a bad blood between two fighters, do you feel like they kind of like have a different game plan sort of thing, or like they like stick to their game plan? Like do they like maybe let's say if they're like less aggressive, do you think they would like change their game plan and be more aggressive with the opponent, or they'll stick with their game plan?
So, well, usually the goal is to always stick with your game plan, because when you make a game plan, you don't make it because I don't like this guy, I'm gonna be more aggressive because I don't like him. No, you make it based on skill set.
Yeah.
For example, if I was, let's say I was, we're gonna bring Alistair Overeem because we're talking about him later. If I was Alistair Overeem and I'm a really good striker and a knockout artist, and I'm a little more patient as a fighter, as Alistair Overeem would be, and he fought Charles Oliveira, the game plan would be based on the opponent and their skills.
Yeah.
Alistair Overeem will avoid, it would be the smart thing to avoid bringing him to the ground due to the fact that Charles Oliveira, one, we're talking about they're in like two different divisions, they're two different weight classes, and I'm aware of that. I'm just like bringing like fighters that are complete opposites in skill sets. This is why I'm bringing these two different fighters. But Charles Oliveira, he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he's crazy good on the ground. Now let's say I was Alistair, who he's okay on the ground, he has some submission wins, he's okay. I wouldn't bring him to the ground because it's a smart move. I risk many things. I know my opponent's better than me at the ground.
Yeah.
Now let's say that there's bad blood. I'm not gonna be like, I'm gonna be in his face. I'm gonna try to beat him out of his own game and rub it in. That wouldn't be the smart move, because you're leaving yourself in a more vulnerable spot. An example that I used before, like 2 minutes ago, was Jose Aldo and McGregor. They're both really good strikers. Jose Aldo, he's a power puncher. When he punches, he punches everything in it. McGregor, he's technical. McGregor got Jose Aldo so mad before the fight. He pissed him off so much that during the fight, when Aldo got knocked down in 13 seconds, he just ran in and just tried to knock him out like that. He put everything on the line, and by doing that, by being so angry at someone, you want to hurt him as bad as possible, and you want to beat him up like real bad, real fast. You don't really think, you get it? You just do.
Yeah, so like their game plan is kind of different, I feel like.
Yeah, but you don't.
Even though
you don't want that to happen. You want to stick to your game plan.
Yeah, obviously.
There's a quote I read a long time ago, on Instagram. I don't know who said. I believe it was Bruce Lee, but I don't remember. And he said, "The best fighters are the calm. They're always calm. They're the calmest fighters." McGregor, he can say as much smack as you want. During press conferences, he attacks your mentality.
Yeah.
He's a mental warfare type of guy, because he wants to get you mad so that when you fight all aggressive and you leave all these openings.
Yeah.
Because when you fight, when you do and you don't think, you're gonna be more vulnerable in the fact of you're not gonna be technical. You're gonna drop your hands. You're gonna throw constantly without thinking. You're gonna leave yourself open, which is what McGregor wants. That's what happened with Aldo. He got into Aldo's head. Aldo got mad. He just ran in, tried to beat up McGregor, left himself completely open, got knocked out in 13 seconds.
Yeah.
Do you get it?
Yeah.
So sometimes your game plan does change, but you want to avoid that at all costs.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Which will bring it back to the John Jones thing. If people, like you said, if people want to get in his head, it's going to be somewhat easier because they can talk about they can bring up this action that John Jones did that got him arrested to try to get in his head and get him mad. Do you get it?
Yeah. Totally
Now,
get it.
yes. So the question is, like, do you think people would do that? Do you think they'll bring it up? We saw, like I said, we saw Israel Adesanya do it over Instagram, try to get him mad. We saw when John Jones first got arrested for doing drugs, he was fighting Daniel Cormier, and DC he called him junkie. He called him that he was a drug addict to get in his head, to try to make him mad and make him do these stupid mistakes because he was mad and try to win. You know.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, would you, when John Jones fights his next opponent, do you feel that his opponent will bring up the DUI charge to try to get him angry, to try to rattle him?
Like I said before, like I think it would be a good weapon against John Jones. Like I feel like if the fighter has nothing to like say about like anything bad to say about John Jones, I'll probably bring up that like arrest of that DUI, whatever it was. I feel like that would come up in one of his like reoccurring, like one of his fights happening, like one of his future fights. I feel like it would probably be brought up to get in his head, and I don't know if it will really do any like thing to like get him pissed. Like I don't think it would really do anything leading to the fight day, but I feel like they would probably try their best to lean towards that one time, that one arrest that he got.
Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, it'd be kind of sad to see, because some fighters do go that low to try to mentally rattle someone, but it's definitely, it is a smart move. As much as it sucks to see someone be that low, it's definitely smart. And we saw, like I said before, DC do it, and it literally got John Jones completely rattled up. But what I like about him is that when it comes to fighting, like outside the octagon, he can be as mad at you. He can say what he wants because you got him mad. But in the fighting, he's always like composed. Like even though he wants to beat you up, what I like about him is that he sticks to his game plan. He doesn't go out all aggressive because you said something that pissed him off. He stays. John Jones calm and John Jones angry. It's the same type of fighter. He looks the same. He doesn't leave himself open.
Yeah.
When he gets angry, he stays composed, which I really like about him.
Yeah.
So we'll move to the fantasy fight. Alistair Overeem versus Walt Harris. Now, they're both, in my opinion, they're both very talented fighters. They're both top 10 ranked. They're both ranked top 10. Alistair Overeem is ranked number 8, and Walt Harris is ranked number 9 in the UFC. Alistair Overeem is 45 wins, 18 losses, 1 no decision. So he's, as you can see, he's a veteran in the game. He's a veteran in the UFC. He's been in for a long time. And then we have Walt Harris, who's 13 wins, 7 losses. He's, record-wise, he's relatively new to the game, but he's kind of an old fighter. Like, age-wise, you get it? I'm not saying he's his talents are not good, none of that, but age-wise, he's 36, I believe, Walt Harris. So that'd be a cool clash, I find.
So let's get into their background. So he's a former Strikeforce heavyweight champion, Dream heavyweight champion, K1 World Grand Prix champion. He's one of the only 2 fighters to have a title in MMA and K1 kickboxing at the same time. Like you said, he's ranked number 8, and like he has a lot of like milestones that he's got in his career. So he's a pretty like worthy like good fighter to like compete. Then we have Walt Harris. He competed in Titan MC. If none of you really know what Titan FC is, it's basically like UFC, but it's like another association of mixed martial arts. And yeah.
So I find that this would honestly be, in my opinion, it'd kind of be a crazy fight, because we have Alistair Overeem, who, like you said, he's a very talented kickboxer.
Mm-hmm.
He's very good at striking. He's also his physique is crazy. He's absolutely humongous. He's crazy jacked. He's like, every time I see him, he reminds me of Francis Ngannou, and he's a powerhouse.
Mm.
Like he picks you apart standing up, then he takes you to the ground and he just ground and pounds. And Walt Harris is the same way. Walt Harris, he's also a powerhouse. Every win that Walt Harris has in the UFC, every win is a KO, TKO. Of punches, elbows. I believe he has one knee win. Walt Harris has one win with his knees. But they're both knockout artists, and they're both aggressive. Walt Harris is definitely more aggressive. He explodes and everything. And also over him, he kind of chooses his time. Like he'll be patient in the beginning, and he'll just explode out of nowhere and just take him down, ground and pound, get the victory.
Yeah.
So I feel that'd be a very exciting fight.
Yeah, I
What do you
totally
think?
agree with that. Like, the fight would really be interesting. I don't know when Walt Harris is gonna go like really aggressive. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but like I feel like it's gonna be a really good matchmaking between the two fighters. Like they're both of them are basically like stand-up fighters, which is kind of like they're kind of like the same fighter sort of thing, but the only difference between Overeem is like his striking is a little better, like his kicks are a little better.
Yeah.
Like Walt Harris usually is punches, he like punches more. But Walt Harris, like you said, he's really aggressive and explosive, and like he goes full out. Like I don't know, the only problem with Walt Harris I feel like is when he will get gassed out if it leads to like whatever round it leads to. I don't know when he'll get. Hopefully he doesn't get gassed out, but if he does, then there would probably be like a little problem for him to see if he could win it or not.
Yeah, but that'd be a fun fight to watch.
Yeah, I
Plus,
totally agree with that.
Now we covered the fighters, and I want to talk about Overeem's last fight. He fought Curtis Blades, and I don't know if you witnessed that fight, but at the end, Curtis Blades just dropped him with elbows, and it looked like a blood explosion just blew up on his face. It was crazy.
Really?
And if you saw his injury, I'll definitely get a picture up on the screen.
Oh yeah,
I saw the
injury.
He had, it looked like his lip was missing. Like it was on the floor. Like there's a massive cut. There was a massive hole, and it was a crazy injury. I find it was crazy. I've never seen anything like that. Now my question is, in the past we've seen fighters get beat up so bad. I'll give Raquel Pennington for example when she fought Amanda Nunes. She got beat up so bad that for her next fight, when she fought Holly Holm, she was scared in a way. She wouldn't be as aggressive because she was afraid she'd get beat up as bad as she got when she fought Amanda Nunes. Now, do you think that Alistair Overeem will carry this fear in this fantasy fight? Do you think it would like kind of stop him, or he would hesitate more because he doesn't want to get that injury happen again? He doesn't want it to happen again.
I feel like it may get him a little scared, but I don't know. I feel like Walt Harris is a crazy aggressive guy. So no matter what, he'll still try to have to like try to get out of that like aggressive situations that Walt Harris will put him through. So I feel like maybe he may get a little like more like defensive and like try not to get that same injury again. Cause I didn't see the fight, but I saw a picture of him and like his lip all like destroyed.
Nasty.
So I feel like maybe he'll be like little bit more defensive. Like either way he'll be defensive, but I feel like maybe he'll be a little bit more defensive than he usually is. But I think it's like all like a thing of getting used to, like of overcoming that fear of getting the same injury again. I feel like he just has to overcome it. I feel like maybe this fight, if it happens, that's his next fight, then he'll probably be a little more defensive. But I feel like as in the future, if he fights other people, he'll probably like get over that fear. I feel like.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just gonna take time.
Yeah.
Or maybe, well, for the ordinary MMA fighter, I feel like it would take time. But these guys are, they're somewhat professionals. Well, they're not somewhat. They are professionals. So I don't.
Yeah.
It depends. It may take time for that fear to go away, or he may just jump in the next fight like nothing happened. It depends on the person.
Yeah.
So now that we talked about the potential fear of injury and how that can maybe change his game plan, and how we talked about their skill set, how Overeem has to watch out for Harris's explosive power and pushing and being ultra aggressive, and how we talked about Overeem being an absolute powerhouse and how he's really good with his legs and his hands.
Yeah.
Who do you think will win? Plus Overeem, we didn't mention, but he has a couple submission wins under his belt, as of Harris has none. Overeem, he's no jiu-jitsu guru, but he has a couple wins. So who do you think would win? And how do you think it would happen?
This is a really hard decision, but I feel like I kind of have to go. I feel like Overeem will win. Like one major reason I feel like is maybe Overeem right off the bat will get really aggressive and I don't know, get like try to like get in his head since of that injury. But I feel like Overeem will take the win because maybe Walt Harris may get a little tired near the end if it leads to like third rounds or yeah. But I think Overeem will take the W because maybe his kick may like just like shock him and he may get to the ground and it'll be done because like his striking is really really good. But Walt Harris, I feel like Alex Overeem will come with the win, even though Walt Harris is a really aggressive, explosive, determined guy. But to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Walt Harris comes out and his aggressiveness really goes in his favor. So if he, I'm on Overeem's side, but I wouldn't be super surprised if Harris wins. It's a really hard decision.
I agree with that. I would not be surprised if Walt Harris wins, since he is very explosive. You don't know what's gonna go happen in his fights. Anything can happen since he's so aggressive. He also has a lot of power. He's hard to predict. Everyone is knockout, right? Yeah. So no matter how much Overeem is winning when they fight, no matter how much Overeem is winning on the scorecard, since Harris has that knockout power, he can just, switch. He can change the game in a fraction of a second by, separating him from consciousness, and he'll be winning via knockout. So, I think if let's say Alex Overeem, he gets like the first round, he wins it since it's in his favor, and then the second round's in his favor. Walt Harris could just explode at the end and maybe just destroy him and get the TKO and win. Yeah, but I think that Overeem is gonna win. Like you said, Overeem, one thing, I guess, Overeem is older, so I don't know if that'd slow him down, although his physique is incredible.
He's more experienced, too, so it may go in his favor.
He reminds me of Romero. They're crazy strong. They still have a lot of endurance. They have a lot of fight left in him. But the reason I say Overeem, if he's going to win, is because, one, he poses more of a threat, in my opinion. He poses a threat on the submissions. He poses a threat since his kickboxing is incredible. He's a powerhouse. He's also... His record is 45 wins, 18 losses. He has a lot of fights, a lot more fights than Harris does. So he's more, in my opinion, he's way more experienced. He's seen it. He's kind of seen it all. So I feel that Overeem is going to win due to the fact that he's more experienced and he poses more of a threat. Since he's more of a diverse fighter. As of Harris, he's more of a boxer in a way.
Yeah, I just have a question for you. Do you think Alistair Overeem, do you think he may win the fight in a submission, or it's most likely not? It'll probably just be a knockout.
I do not think he's gonna win a submission.
Yeah.
I think that Overeem is more of I'll injure you while you're standing up. You'll fall to the ground because you're gonna be in pain or whatever, and I'm gonna finish you on the ground with everything I have. That's kind of his game plan. He picks you apart, and when you can't really fight anymore, he just puts the nail in the coffin, and that's it. Yeah. That's what I think is going to happen. We are slowly running out of time. I just want to talk about what do you see, what future they have if they win the fight. Like, who do you see? If Walt Harris wins, who would be a good matchup for him?
If Walt Harris wins, I feel like Volkov will probably Volkov. I think would be a good contender for him. First off, because his ranking is pretty close to Walt Harris's. His rank is 8, I think.
Yeah.
His rank is 8. So their
Walt Harris's rank is 9. If he wins, he'll become 8.
Oh, okay. So 9. So his rank's 9. So if he wins, he'll be rank 8, and I feel like their ranking is pretty even. Also, Volkov, he kind of he's not super aggressive
he's more technical.
Not Walt Harris, not super aggressive. So it'll be kind of interesting to see it'll be interesting to see of how Walt Harris comes in, if he comes in aggressive or more cautious of Volkov's fighting style. I feel like it'll be a really interesting fight between both of them to see what they come out with their game plan, to see who would win the fight. It would be a really close fight, I feel like.
Yeah.
Who do you think cool Walt Harris would be a good contender with?
Yeah, I think that Walt Harris, if he were to win, I think he should fight Derek Lewis personally, because they're both the same game plan. They have the same game plan. Derek Lewis is an absolute powerhouse. It's incredible. Derek Lewis fought Alexander Volkov, and Volkov was just beating him, picking him apart, being technical, patient, and Derek Lewis just at one point just absolutely exploded. So I feel that those two would be an incredible matchup. They're both kind of the same fighting style. They're both really aggressive. It's just who's going to come out on top. I feel that'd be really interesting. And for Overeem, I think Overeem should fight either... It'd be cool to see Overeem fight Francis Ngannou. And I do not think, it'd be a nice fight to watch, but it's not really deserving, because Overeem, he's lost against Ngannou. He also lost against Jairzinho, who's number 6 contender, and Ngannou's number 2. So the logical answer would be Overeem fight Jairzinho, rematch him, and if he wins, fight Ngannou. But it'd be really sick to see Ngannou fight Overeem again, because they're both incredible powerhouses. Ngannou is the strongest hitter in the UFC. He hits the hardest out of everybody. And just seeing that matchup happen again, two powerhouses colliding, I feel like that'd be really interesting, personally.
I totally agree with you, but I feel like you said, I feel like Jairzinho would be a good fighter for Overeem. I feel like if he wins that fight, he redeems himself of he's a really good contender fighter to fight, like you said. So I feel like if he fights Francis, I feel like if he gets the win against Jairzinho, then Francis Ngannou would be a good contender for Overeem to fight after, I feel like.
All right, so we're running out. We're a little over time. I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks to everyone who's watching this podcast. It was fun to make. This is our second fantasy fight. Our next one will be about the actual fight that's happening in UFC 249, and I'm gonna explain what's gonna happen in this video quickly in this podcast episode, and I'm gonna explain the next one. UFC 249 is supposed to be the most stacked card in the history of the UFC. It's going to be incredible knockout artists. So what we're going to do is we're going to have one episode of before the event and one episode after the event. Talk about what happened. And I hope you guys stay tuned for that. I feel that's going to be really fun to make. And thank you all for listening to this episode.